All right, so as I'm waiting for him to hop on, I'll just try to continue with this section right here, creating simple functions with function and def function. The special form that's used to define functions is function. Let's jump right into it by creating our first function. Type the following expression in your REPL. So within parentheses, function, and then an empty vector. Parentheses, function, and then the empty vector. All right, so Shift Alt P, and we have that right there. Object, blah, blah, blah. We have just created the simplest anonymous function. Oh, okay, that's an anonymous function, which takes no parameters and does nothing. And we returned an object, which is our function with no name. Okay. Periodically go back and forth. Create a function that takes a parameter named x and return its square value multiplied by itself. So function x, okay. Function, hold on, what are we calling it? Create a function that takes a parameter named x and returns its square value. So function within vector takes an x. How do I do this? Okay. And then the body of it will be that xx. That right? Shift P. Okay, so it looks like whenever you have an anonymous function, I already understand the vector for providing arguments or harboring arguments or parameters. But every function within the body of it's going to also have parentheses. All right, understand that. Remember that in Clojure, the first item of an expression will be invoked. So we can call our anonymous function by wrapping it with parentheses and providing an argument as the second item of the expression. Okay, I thought that's what we already did. Oh no, it's the second. So remember that in Clojure, the first item of an expression will be invoked. So we can call our anonymous function by wrapping it with parentheses and providing an argument as the second item of the expression. Okay. So they're saying, what are they saying? They're saying do something like this. That doesn't look right. I'll read this again. Remember that in Clojure, the first item of an expression will be invoked. Okay. So we call our anonymous function by wrapping it with parentheses and providing an argument as the second item of the expression. Now this is great, but not very convenient. If we wanted our function to be reusable or testable, it would be better for it to have a name. We can create a symbol in the namespace and bind it to a function. Okay, so what they're saying here is we have an anonymous function, which is this right here. And what they're saying is with an anonymous function, we can actually like call that function by providing an additional argument, which is weird looking. Like I wouldn't know how to read that. So this is your anonymous function, and they're saying that theoretically we can invoke that function by providing this as the argument. But then they're saying that if you're going to do that, then you might as well like define a function. All right, so they're saying def square. I thought it was defin for function, but they're not saying that. They say use def to bind the function returned by the special form function to the square symbol. Okay. So remember, def is for a namespace scope. So def, and then we'll just say square, and then we'll copy paste this right here. That. And we'll clear that out. So then theoretically we should just be able to say square and then say 2 and Alt Shift P. No, why not? What you mean you can't resolve symbol square? Hold up. That should work. F that. Hold up. What am I doing wrong? Def square takes this function x and within the body xx. That should work. Why doesn't that work? Square is within parentheses 2. Why don't you work? Hold up. Did I spell square wrong? Looks like the same spelling, but I don't understand. Am I supposed to wrap this in? Oh, I'm supposed to wrap it in parentheses. Freaking Clojure, man. All right, so within parentheses, I define square, Shift Alt P, and then square 2. Hey, all right, where's he at? Invoke your newly created function to make sure that it works. All right, did that. And then square, I don't know what the #1 is. They're saying do this right here. I mean, it was 4 last time. It looks like square is just a value. So we define a value called square, and we assigned it a function, and then we added additional argument to it. Okay. All right, so now what? I just got a message from the Clojure mentor. He may be hopping on here shortly. So then we call square again. Let me do that. What did I do wrong? Shift Alt P. Okay. So square, we're going to bind a function. That's this right here. And then when we call square, blah, 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 it looks like, okay, here we go.
Hey.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine.
I'm just going through the exercises in this book. Now I'm on the section of functions, creating simple functions. So I'm attempting to try to do my due diligence before this session. And that's pretty much it. I don't know. Did you have a specific agenda for this session, or I would still like to attempt that code kata by like next weekend, but I feel like I have to still understand the basics of Clojure.
At least I prepared for kata. I have several implementation
Oh,
on GitHub. So when you are ready to discuss, we can continue with katas.
I thought I was sharing my screen. Was I sharing my screen earlier? Was I
How-
sharing my screen earlier? No. When you hopped on, did you see my actual like screen, or was it just me talking to myself?
I saw your screen, but not today.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I was sharing my screen the whole time. That's weird. Okay. Yeah, I was going through here. I thought I was sharing my screen for that one person that happens to be viewing my live stream, but it looks like I didn't have my screen showing. They were just listening to me talk. So, okay. Stop sharing. So you said that you already did that business rules kata?
Yes, I spent my Monday with.
Was it more complicated than you thought?
Yes.
Yeah. Can I see it?
Sure.
No, watch it be done in like 5 lines of code. Okay.
So I translated your solution like I understood it,
Okay.
and prepared 2 variations of my own. So there are 3 files there. kata 16 F sharp, kata 16 Serioga, and kata 16 Serioga 2.
Okay.
To 2B or not 2B? Something like this.
Are these 3 files like an implementation per file, or just the solution consists of 3 files?
No, one file, one implementation.
Okay.
So same. There are difference from initial description in kata as I saw, but I kept your solution,
Oh,
your
okay.
differences from description, because it was not so relevant, just an idea. So like yours, there are set of functions which are called function by function serially, and all results collected.
So there's a function called of types that takes an item and a type set, and then that type set appears to be a
Yeah, there is no types because types are just keywords technically.
okay. And so I guess this is supposed to be a map or something. Like what's product forward slash type? Is that supposed to be like a map structure?
You can see examples at the end. This comment from line 63, the examples of calling this function and output. So you can test it in a repo.
Uh,
So the input is a map with two fields: product type, like product type book, product type video.
okay.
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 examples for just a book, just a video with title Learning to Sky, and input with start membership and upgrade membership.
Oh, okay. All
So you
this
can see
looks.
input and output.
Unfortunately, all this looks alien to me because I don't know Clojure. I'm sure it'll make sense to me in probably another month.
So we can skip and concentrate on something you want to understand, to know, and discuss it later.
Okay. So then this is a second implementation where you define business rules.
The second differs that rules are defined separately by just the data. So there are 5 rules. Every rule has an ID, like rule shipping, rule royalty, with data describing output from application of this rule. So rule shipping for all product types like physical, book, and video, produce command issue sleep shipping. For everything else, nothing. For rule royalty, for product type book, it produce command issue sleep royalty debt, and so on.
Okay.
So when you want to add new type to the rule, you edit data, not a function themselves, not implementation.
Like I'm sure this reads to you, but like I don't know what it means.
This is like JSON. You can read it like JSON
Okay.
with
So this
fields.
All right, so
This is key, and on the right, this is another map with key values.
okay, so if I were reading this as JSON, then there's a
So
product property.
it's sort of like a small DSL for rules.
Okay.
So for rule video, there is DSL. You should specify which product to see to produce command attach video. So for video with learning to Sky. So this differs from your implementation, because in description was that when customer purchases video with title learning to Sky, you should attach another video with first aid.
Mm,
Your implementation was about only first aid without mentioning learning to Sky initially.
okay.
A little bit different.
How am I getting all these messages? And then yeah, so I'm gonna have to save. I'm gonna have to bookmark this so that I can reference it later when I understand Clojure better. Hold up. And do this right here. Say Sergey.
So your implementation was about functions, iteration over functions, the application. Second implementation is iteration over rule IDs defined in map business rules. And result is the same.
So this one, 26 minus 7 is, what is that? I can't do the math. What is 26 minus 7? 19? So like around 19 lines of code or something versus.
no. There are also some functions to handle rule IDs. So they separated.
Oh, okay. I see it.
There are rule data and rule functionality, how to apply this data. So under the data map, you can see functions, not in the second file. In previous file,
Okay.
after business rules map, let's look at second file.
Okay.
Yes, this one. Starting from 24, line 24, there is a function handle rule. No, 28, sorry. Handle rule. So it handles rules by rule ID.
Okay.
And produce same output like in previous. These rules can be defined separately, yes. So like handle rules standard, we can, for multi-method, we can define like inheritance. So shipping, royalty, and commission can be handled by same code. So they have same DSL like rule group standard and single implementation for all three rules. And rule video and rule email is handled separately. And
Okay.
below, after line 50, there are also like handle all, the same.
What's this symbol right here? What does that mean?
This means this is macros.
Macro?
So you should take rule move in your mind. You should move rule from the beginning to the end of calling keep.
Oh, okay.
So like keep function, and after this function, the rules. So keep applies this function to input rules. But to make accent that we iterate over rules, it can be put before and functionality later.
All right. So this is a way of like reordering arguments.
Yes.
Okay.
It's convenient when you have several applications like map, filter, and something else, step by step. So you can keep single arrow and add multiple steps.
Yeah, you could swap.
One
I mean,
about.
this is applicable for only the first or the last argument for a function, right? Like, so if you have a function that has like 3 parameters, like this will basically take the third parameter or the last parameter and make it the first one that you can apply. Like I'm speaking from like
So
F sharp has something similar. Like when you use the pipe operator, it'll just take the last argument and pipe it into whatever function. I'll figure it out. Actually, no, I want to figure this out now. Hold up.
so it's just I'll show you. So
Reads the expression through the forms, inserts X as the last item in the first form, making a list of it if it is not already. God, this all looks alien to me.
I dropped to the comment what is this exactly. This line 50, it's exactly like this one.
Okay. Let me see. Actually, maybe I should share it again. So you had
You can copy these files in your
okay.
source folder and
I see it.
execute it in the repo. So
I think I understand. So if we go back over here, where am I at? If we go back over here, you had boom boom, and then you had rules, and then you had within parentheses keep, and then okay, I understand it. Mm. And then the last implementation.
the last is about like in this shown in description. That about format of the item, what to handle by these rules. So my suggestion is to keep all data about this processing, all processing related data in a single map, and incrementally add new data after each handling step. So you can see difference at the end, examples of input and output. Look at comments at the end.
Okay.
Later at the end. This example, yes. So in the input we have data with like merge data with data about customer, about payment, about purchased product, and so on. And every step produce additional data and add it in this input data. So like customer name Sergey, product type book. After executing command, we have this same data structure with additional field comments having comments inside. So on every handling step, next commands can have access to previously computed data, to previously created commands if it's necessary, and all other data. So it's like we take some data and process and add more information about handling process, not choosing only commands from
Okay.
every step. So in processing, we can not only produce commands, but produce new data about customer itself, about content of email, something else, anything.
Okay. Yeah, I have to learn the data structures. I have to read up on that. This reminds me again. It reminds me of when I was first learning F sharp, and like my brain just was not registering the syntax. It looks pretty, but all right. So customer name, Sergey. You said read it like as if it's Jason. So there's a name, Sergey. There's a type called book, and then there's commands that, based on book, we'll have to execute some commands that relate to shipping, royalties, and whatever agent is. Okay. Now, for video, if the product is video, then there's some commands that we need to execute for just shipping and agent X. No, I was reading this wrong.
Why?
No, because this says result.
Resulted function to get a
Okay.
result.
Oh,
I
and
guess I took it from your implementation, this naming it. So
oh, okay.
it's not my naming.
All right.
This
Well,
is this is kata result.
okay. So I bookmarked it, and maybe like in 2 weeks, it'll like make sense to me. I'm like, okay, now I understand. Because right now it's like, I don't know, I don't know. All right, so okay, so now I have something to reference when I get to this point. Hopefully next weekend. And if I right now I'm on functions. Hold up. Sooner or later, no. Okay, it looks like I'm not going to be off of this for a while. Okay. Let me look at this for a second. Getting around the REPL. I think I'm still in the REPL part. No, I'm not. Yeah. I didn't even get to this part yet. I think maps is going to be the most important, probably section for me to hit next. Uh, so why does Clojure tend to revolve around maps for most things instead of like just records? Like I would assume F sharp and Elm. Like the preferred data structure is just maps for everything, right? For Clojure.
The difference from records is the main, well, they are open. This is openness. I don't know. You mean records like immutable records or
Yeah. And
like
so
case class in Scala?
basically, like similar to an object, except you can't mutate it. And so, like, there may be a record called person, and it's just first name and last name, and that's it. And so, like, within F sharp, like, you tend to rely on records that you can't mutate. But in Clojure, I feel like you're encouraged to rely on like maps or dictionaries instead of like these rich record types that may have like nested information. And so like I'm trying to wrap my head around why Clojure tends to prefer maps over record types.
Because maps are freeform, they are more flexible, they are open by default, by design. They can be incomplete if in terms of like user, customer. So if you need, for example, just email, you don't need a complete user record with some fields. You have a email, you can keep it in any map. You can have only email with just a single field email, which enough for processing, for example, and so on.
Okay.
Mm.
I've been there before where like I've only needed a piece of information from a structure, but I'm forced to initialize the entire structure even if I don't have all the information available yet. And so I think I can understand the example that you provided.
So records are more rigid, like table definitions and SQL, when you define columns and when you need to change something, you need to change the program descriptions and so on. So new field additions require changes around in many places. For example, it's much more hard than just add a field in the data structure.
Okay.
So maps are more like a collection of facts about the world, and you can use it freely. Which facts from the world to put in this map and keep around and so on.
It reminds me of like I don't really do web development, but it reminds me of like just a bag of properties that
Yes.
you don't really have to care about the entire like structure, formal structure. You just say, "Hey, I need this property. What's the value of it?" And that's it. You're not forced to reference the entire like structure. You can just say, hey, I just need this one piece of information that I'm pulling out the bag. Like what I need this value. And that's it. Is that fair to kind of think like you have a bag of properties? You don't really care that the properties make up a person or the properties make up a I don't know, a vehicle. You just only care about what the this name value is and that's it. I don't know.
And when you use unique keywords for your map key fields, This keyword is a name across your application, can be used anywhere, and this name become identity of this fact and can be used in any other context if
as,
meaning of this field doesn't change
as long as
anywhere.
it's qualified by the namespace, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
like, for example, customer/name, if it's clear, no confusion about just what a name, if there is a field name of what, company name, person name, and something, book title.
Okay.
That's why I used namespace keywords in Kata implementation. If I use just simple keywords, it will be more visible for you, more clear, less noise in implementation. But normally, if you think about future, it's preferred to use some namespace to qualify.
Okay. How easy is it to add a unit test in Clojure? Is there a lot of ceremony? Do I have to like, is it like .NET where I have to like go to NuGet Manager, search for in-unit test project, like reference that, and then add a file? Like what does that look like in Enclosure for writing a unit test? How much ceremony is involved?
You can. There are several libraries for writing tests. There is one Clojure.test. It's like some kind of official. It's the simplest one. You can put tests in a separate folder like test source root and write test. You can also write tests near your sources with your near your function definitions. I like do this. For example, okay, I can show something from my code.
Where's this happening? Oh, I did that.
I guess I have some example
Are you
in
sharing your
my.
screen?
Okay, here in this small file, there are several examples of tests inside source code with source code itself. I found that writing tests in separate file, it's convenient for writing libraries when you don't want tests to be put in jar file for end users. Can you open my link from the chat?
Yeah, I thought I did. This is it right here, right?
No, a
Oh, it's not?
GitHub link.
Okay. This right here. I
So
thought this
this is
was.
second tab, secret, your second tab. Yeah, this one.
Oh, okay. I don't know where I was at before. Okay.
So okay, line line. So line
Here's.
36, line 36. This is test defined in function metadata itself. So it's just a anonymous function checking that calling this read secret for secret of XXX produce XXX, and read secret just from text XXX also produce XXX. So it's like examples how to use this function with testing and everything in definition of that function. So def and read secret and two tests of this read secret before implementation of this function. At the end, in line 51, there is a separate test. It's like unit test with a name secret test. It's not a secret test, it's test of secret, this secret function.
Okay, so they have test / define test, secret test, let within the vector v equals the secret value, s be in a non, how do I read this? S is a, okay, so what does this mean right here? Last time it was dash dash greater than sign, which allowed you to swap.
This is from line above the line. The def type secret line 9. When you define type, you define a type constructor. So type constructor, instance constructor is like arrow secret. So
Okay.
when I wrote def type secret, there is a function to construct the instance. This is arrow secret.
And value is not being used anywhere. Okay. Well, hold on.
Value is not used because it's just a box for this value. There is no any functionality with it. It's just accessor by name value. You can read for in function read secret. You can see like it's access line 41 dot value from value. Just read this value.
Okay.
41. Yes, this one. So dot value. This is access to this field with name value.
What is
this is like OOP, object-oriented programming.
Okay. What's this?
This is type hint. So,
what does that do?
So I say to compiler that you should take dot value from type secret, not something else, because otherwise compiler don't know field value of what type to call, what to do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a lot of reading to figure out the syntax.
Well, question was about testing, and this is simple way to add test for functions.
Yeah, I don't see any imports. Like you didn't have to import a test package in order to have this.
No. Clojure.test. This is import of test package. Line 3 require Clojure test as test.
Oh, okay.
And then everything like test / blah 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 is calling function macros and so on from Clojure test. You can search for test / add slash. There are too many tests. So macros test R and the function test var and so on, and test def test.
So, what does R mean?
R this is when you want to
Verify?
make. So there is a simple test is macros which make a Boolean test that condition is true. With test is you need to write test is twice, like test is xxx equal to read secret and test
Okay.
is xxx. If you
So,
don't want to repeat this test is,
predicate.
you can
Is for a
write. Yes, and this test R, it's like macros to specify, to apply same repetition of test is on this form. So it's like a wrap all line with test is.
So when you want to do multiple expressions, you use R. Like each of these expressions map to this R, or no?
And show you.
It sounds like is like one expression or one predicate, but R is when you want to verify multiple predicates.
Yes. This is like assertion, multiple assertion.
Okay.
On line 47, read test var. This is for REPL to call exactly this single test in REPL and see what happened. IntelliJ with cursive, there is a command to execute all tests in this open file. There is a shortcut for this, and after this you can see nice green check marks when you run tests and they tests are fine. You can visual check marks that tests are passed and in lines where tests were passed.
Okay. I see this thing again. So test R is verifying these two right here, that your string S equals 5 of these asterisks. I don't know what this means.
This is just commas, it's just spaces to align left and right part.
Oh, that sounds like something I would do. Okay.
So just to keep str s and read secret s starting from same column.
So you have a little bit of OCD like me. Hold up. So you can't have just spaces? You have to put commas in the place of spaces?
You can put spaces, but I use automatic formatting code format in IntelliJ.
Oh, okay.
And
got it. So
it removes extra spaces. So when I want to keep alignment, sometimes I use just commas.
okay.
I would prefer to assign some gray color to commas in IntelliJ, but it's not possible, unfortunately. So commas are too visible, but okay. This is simple class to just wrap strings with something to avoid printing them in log files and so on. So just to avoid accidental printing of passwords and something else when you lock them and so on.
Okay. I'm going to see what public repos you have out there. Let me see. Oh, 7 days ago.
There was a commit today with my color scheme. This is there is a one screenshot in the README on the first page.
So go
On
to
previous
README.
page.
This right here. Light color scheme with minimal amount of colors. Only 3 color, blah, 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 blah. Hold up. You're building UI with Lisp? I mean, with Clojure?
What do you mean is UI?
You're building a user interface using Clojure? Like, what's the stamina Clojure scheme? Or stamina like?
No, it's just editor color scheme just for
Okay.
the editor. You use dark theme and I use light one. This is like my colors
Okay.
for the code itself. We just discussed code coloring in Telegram, and I decided to put my scheme in public just to show.
Cool.
So there are repositories like Clojure benchmarks, web app template.
You said Clojure benchmarks.
You should go back to the list of repositories if you want
okay.
to see more.
Oh, Clojure benchmarks. Okay.
In Clojure, web app Clojure benchmarks, static website Clojure. This is project to template project for website.
This is the most popular one. You got 27 stars. But let me see. Static Clojure website. I didn't mean to do that. Hold up. It must. Okay.
So I found it convenient to produce static HTML content from Clojure's database format, like named Hiccup. I don't know where's the example of this Hiccup. There is HTML like XML like data presentation using Clojure data structure like vectors, maps, and so on. It's named like Hiccup. And application HTML layout.
There's so much
And
studying.
in the file name layout, you can see examples of how source HTML looks like. I dropped a link to Steam comment.
Oh, okay. Source app
So
HTML.
it's like every function is just a snippet of part of website. So copyright here, copyright itself. The default is a page template like head, meta tag, title tag.
Okay.
So default is
Hey, this looks familiar.
just a template. When you develop, you can have auto reloading pages. So when you change something, page is reloaded automatically. You can see new content. If you edit CSS, also it's compiled and reloaded and so on. When you're ready, you execute command to produce your static content and put it somewhere.
So, do you know Clojure script too?
Yes, I worked with Clojure script, and I
Okay.
have I have written backend using React and so on.
Oh, you could combine React with Clojure?
Yes, and
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Clojure fits better for React than JavaScript itself.
I did not know
Mostly
that.
because I use Room library, not reagent like this, but many people like reagent. I don't like concept of SPA application.
No?
I suffer from SPAs in modern internet, and they
Oh,
are
shoot. React is supposed to be a single page application. Like it's meant to compete with Angular and stuff. I didn't know that.
yes, React is mostly about manipulating your web page without reloading, without requesting new page content from uh, normal HTTP and so on. So I prefer like multi-page applications and use React when it's necessary for some parts of application.
Okay.
So I created in in my as my work project I've created WebSocket based application. This was for our game project. I cannot show it because it's not active right now. It was not started. Now we concentrate mostly on mobile based implementation of the game.
Have you heard of Regent before?
Yes, but Regent not for me, mostly because I need server-side
Okay.
rendering of this content, and the Regent is just client-side, it's just in JavaScript, and I cannot use it on on the backend to produce page.
Yeah.
I have an opinion that page should be provided from the server ready to be viewed without executing JavaScript on it. So I use React like in hydration mode when React functionality injected in page code after loading, but doesn't change it because everything is already produced like It should be.
Let me see. So I should now have access to your public repos. So if I click on this, bookmarks, Clojure.
I can show you a piece of my backend. At least you can see authorization page, which also implemented in Clojure script and
Okay. What? Oh, okay. There we go. Right there. Okay.
I dropped a link to our backend. So this is Clojure script with React, form processing using React and so on, error handling.
Okay. So this is built using Clojure script.
Yes, Clojure and Clojure script. And Tailwind for CSS producing. Do you
Okay.
know Tailwind? No.
No.
How much time is there? I think you want to sleep already.
Oh, I've been up since like 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been up for 12 hours today. So yeah. Uh, I got so much to do. Like earlier this morning, I was working on my beach delivery app. So like this is all F. Well, I mean this is C sharp and F sharp. So I was working on this earlier this morning, and then I said, "Shoot, I got to hurry up and go over some Clojure so I could be a little bit more knowledgeable than last week when I have my mentoring session." So I've just been going back and forth everywhere. Like, this is some F sharp stuff. Yeah, this is some F sharp stuff. It's a long, long story. I've been working on this for over 2.5 years. And I don't know what half this stuff is. Hold up. I thought I had some. The thing I enjoy is specking out, like using function types so I can program to it, which is, I guess, very different from Clojure because you're not like using like a type driven approach. Like in Clojure, you're just using a REPL driven approach. So my mind is kind of locked in on like, here's the core operations, here's what the types are. And like in Clojure, this it's just different. Like all this weird syntax. Hey, it looks like I have some tests in here. No, of course not. What's this over here?
So in my
Yeah.
list of repositories, you can see repository for web application. Like it.
Uh,
So this web app Clojure, web app Clojure. Yeah,
yeah.
this is template. So here is Clojure script and server-side backend examples how to access to SQL database and so on.
Click on database. Core. Why not? Yeah, you've been working on this. This is like 14 days ago. Is it just you working on this, or do you have other people helping you?
No, it's my own. So I extracted this from my real projects
Okay.
just to reuse it in future projects. So when I want to create new project, I need something to take and to insert functionality. So it's
So with the database, are you using Cognitech? Is that what it's called? No,
now
Cognitech is a company, right? What Datomic? Are you using Datomic?
data. No, I don't use Datomic. I work mostly with Postgres, but I touched Datomic, and I'm not I'm not ready to use it in my
Yeah.
production services.
Man, I'm exhausted.
HugSQL is a library to work with SQL queries. So I define SQL queries and SQL files like SQL code and work with normal SQL code. And this library allow to define in code functions for these queries.
Okay.
So in the folder resources, not CRC, but in the resources folder, there are the queries themselves.
Where is that at?
No, from the root, go to the root and then no, about up. Yes, resources, database, yes, and SQL. So there is single SQL function. You can take it on your PC and run. Okay, you need a Lenin to be installed. I'm not sure if it's installed.
Is that your typewriter? That thing is loud. Okay. I feel like it's going to take me another 24 months to get to this level. Uh,
No, I think 6 months is enough to get some level of
yeah.
comfort.
You said tailwind. Horror reloading.
Or okay, there should be hot.
For development. All right. Well, thanks for sharing with me. I think I'm exhausted. I think I got to take a nap or something. But
Mm, we could do it on Sunday as well. Okay, but
okay.
okay, so Sunday tomorrow is working day for you already or not?
No, no, it's
No.
not. It's not. I mean, I can make myself available tomorrow. I feel like I want to probably tomorrow morning. I'm going to try to do some more of this reading or this book so that I can learn more about functions. Where am I at? Hold up. I left off. Yeah, I left off over here. So I think I want to try to finish this chapter before my next session. But yeah, I should be able to knock this off in the morning, and then maybe uh, if you're available, sync up with you later if you're available. So
So do you want to continue tomorrow? What you mean next weekend?
Uh, I think next weekend I'll probably be more prepared, and it'll probably be easier for me to
Okay.
understand some of the things that you're talking about. So yeah, I think tomorrow will probably be better. Not no, I'm sorry. I think next weekend will probably be better because it'll give me more
Okay.
time to get used to this closure syntax and more of the concepts. Um, so yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with me. I am going to study your public repos on GitHub. So good stuff.
Mm, maybe my public repos not good for studying.
Uh, and Daniel says, oh, so apparently Daniel42 says, hi, Bismogger community. Have you watched all Rich Hickey's talks? I think I have. Yeah, so I'm looking at the comments that they left on the stream. I've watched, I think, all of Rich Hickey's talks. It's one thing to listen to his talks on Clojure and his motivation for designing the language and him talking about Datomic and stuff. It's another thing to actually learn Clojure and try to understand the constructs of the Clojure language. It reminds me of when I was learning F sharp, and it's everything just looks alien to me. It looks like Chinese or Japanese like characters, and so I
Like
know the
Russian.
more, yeah, like I know the more I look at it and the more that I read and learn, the more it'll start becoming clearer to me. But right now, I feel like I'm looking at Chinese. So hopefully, in like maybe 12 weeks, maybe I'll maybe I'll be able to like understand more things. But right now, I feel like I'm still way behind. So he probably left. I don't even know if he's still even on here or not. Uh, all right. Well, I'm exhausted. I'm gonna try to take a nap. Thanks, Sergey. I really appreciate it. And I think it's probably maybe an hour of a session because I think I was doing my own thing for like 10, 15 minutes. He says that he doesn't like complicated or complected things. You're talking about Rich Hickey? Yeah. So Clojure is it's just different. Like it seems like there's a minimal way of doing things that's kind of locked in. It's just very foreign to me. I'm used to the whole .NET way of doing things, and even F sharp is still like .NET. I understand Clojure is built on top of Java. Everything's just different. Like so, I'm just making sure that I could like one day or one week at a time just try to learn a little bit more than I did, the last week, and that's it. But on that note, I am taking off. So thanks, Sergey. I appreciate it. And I'm going to do some more reading, some more tutorials, reference your. I still want to, by next weekend, implement that code kata for business rules. I'm sure it's going to look nothing like what you provided. It'll probably be like 30 files or 500 lines of code. But yeah, next weekend I'll strive for that, and hopefully I could be a little bit more prepared for some of the examples that you've written up. So we'll see. But my mind is shutting off, so I got to go. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, take
Good
care.
night.
Yeah, it's only like 4:30. It's 4:30 in the afternoon, but like I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna probably try to take like an hour or two nap. But see ya. Bye.
Ciao.
All right. See you, Daniel. Bye.